Then go worry me, then go worry me, worry all over the town, then go worry me. These were the words of Fela and Nukola Akpokuti in the song Beast of No Nations, that was released in 1989. Something you want to know about Fela and Nukola Akpokuti is that he was a very woke person in the 1980s. He was very aware of the cultural issues that were being experienced by the people in his community and in diaspora, and people even outside of his community entirely. He wrote and sang this song as a bit of a social commentary on the happenings around it in the 1980s to 1990s. Fela was somebody who was received by the community of people that he existed in and outside of it in mixed emotions. A lot of liberal, progressive thinkers definitely thought that he was a very good voice for the people, but the thing about the community, the society that we live in, is there's never just one side of people giving their opinion on something, right? A lot of the conservative people, and I don't mean American. When you watch this video, when you hear me use the words liberal and conservatives, I don't mean as they exist in American society today, and I don't even mean as they exist in Nigerian society today. I'm talking about 1980s Nigeria right now, right? So, in case you want some background on what Nigeria would probably have been like in the 1980s, Nigeria got its independence from the British Empire um, on October 1st, 1960, right? And so, somebody who was alive and making music in the 1980s, you have to understand that they were existing as a fully functional human being in the 1960s. I can probably guesstimate how old Fela was. During that time, because I don't know exactly how old he was when that song was released. But I want to say it was probably around his 30s, 40s, if he wasn't in his 50s already, because they used to call him Papa 70, and he was probably slightly older than I've been giving credit for. Let's just say he looked young, right? And I just didn't actually check his age, which is fine. His age is not really the issue here, right? It's the message that he's trying to pass across, right? He talks about a lot of different things. One being the conflict between Israel and Lebanon. If you are not familiar with what's going on with what happened with Israel and Lebanon in the 1980s, yeah, the 1980s, basically, 1989, tail end of 1980s. I'll give you a little bit of background. So, in case you are not familiar, Israel was established in 1948 by the United Nations in cooperation with the British and the U.S. government. They had people who were escaping the Holocaust come and settle in a country that is now known as Palestine. A lot of things happened. People were moved out of their land, and they're still currently in conflict. Now that you have that information, let's fast forward a little bit to the 1980s, right? In the 1980s, a major religious leader in Lebanon was assassinated. His car was blown up. 20 people died, and at that time, Israel was at war with Lebanon, right? And this was him giving commentary on the conflicts in that region that he was able to observe and put his voice, put his opinion towards, and he chastised the United Nations, right? The exact words were, "What is united in the United Nations when Israel and Lebanon, two member countries, can be fully at war with each other?" Right? He also talks a little bit about economic policy making. He says Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, right? Two of the most, I don't even know what the sane word to use to describe these people are, but they're two people that are very popular in economics, U.S. history, world history, because obviously Reagan came up with the trickle down economics, right? And Margaret Thatcher did all of the things she did in the Great Britain, right? And they had a very close relationship, not just politically, but also personally. They had what is described by a lot of historians, uh, political commentators, and random talking heads on the internet like me as a special relationship. I don't really know how special it was, but you know, they had some kind of special relationship. And unfortunately, their policies to this day are showing major negative impacts on our society. And somebody in the 1980s, while these policies were being implemented, was saying, "Hey, this doesn't look good," right? And that's a little bit about um, the the song, and because I don't want to just ruin it for you. Go obviously go listen to it wherever you're able to stream music. But yeah, it's a pretty good song. And I wanted to say something about that song. This is just my last little closing bit here. So when that song was released, Fela also talked about a little bit about the repercussions of the things that he does. If you're familiar with Fela, you probably know that he was imprisoned multiple times for speaking out against the Nigerian government, and people saw, like I said, that's why a lot of people saw him, right, as a voice of the people, right. He did not care if he was going to be imprisoned. He did not care if he was going to be ostracized. He did not care what anyone thought of his opinions. He gave them as they were factual, right? Uh, And that's just all I wanted to say, right? The words that he uses to describe him doing that. He says, "Basket mouth don't start to leak again," no, right? It means someone who is called a basket mouth, right? Someone who has holes in their mouth, right? Right? And whenever, instead, before they can even finish forming the words, it falls out of their mouth, right? They said he said the basket, his basket mouth is starting to leak again, right? And I want everyone to have a basket mouth about social issues, about keeping our society operating without oppressing literally everyone who is not profiting off the system. I have come to the end of my time. I appreciate you listening. If you enjoyed this video, do the thing that people do to videos. I don't freaking know. Thank you for watching. Bye.